Literacy rates falling, and now they think the kids should work? Okay, well, buddy,
yes,
the literacy
literally
rates are falling because our school system is a train wreck, and
so
is
fix
failing,
the school
and it's
system.
failing kids.
Brett rightfully said that the school system is a train wreck, and this guy says, just fix it. So easy, isn't it? Just fix the entire system involving millions of people. I wonder if this loser can name one thing the woke have fixed. Honestly, is there something the woke extremist lunatics have actually made better? Anything? But we are trying to fix the school system. For one, we are trying to get woke propaganda out and ethical teaching in. And if the woke would start thinking critically and begin focusing on what actually needs to be taught, we would advance at a much faster rate. What a shame that the woke never argue for the inclusion of teaching logic and ethics in schools, but rather their gender and race ideology. Their priorities are outrageous and are harming children.
I promise you, kids will gain more knowledge by working a job and having hands-on experience than they will sitting in a terrible American public school classroom and being talked at.
Good.
And I know there are amazing teachers out there who are staying in public schools and they're trying to turn it around.
This is horrific messaging, by the way. Honestly, I hope they make more videos like this because this is the worst messaging that I've ever seen. Like I can't off the top of my head think of a video that is more blatantly like disgusting and freakish than this. Like I really can't. It's baffling. It's baffling. Quite frankly, I hope they make more of these.
You believe people should make more videos promoting horrific messaging? You hope more so-called misinformation is spread and promoted? Sounds about right. Well, at least you are supportive of free speech then, since you think alternative opinions should be published. Good for you. You should understand, though, that most people who watch videos and read books only watch what they agree with. A small percentage will ever seriously devote time to watching their views getting debunked. Very few are reading books they disagree with. So if you think by them promoting this and you debunking it is somehow a good thing for your cause, you are not a good thinker.
This is literally a case of like, oh, we have to get rid of the bathwater. Let's smash the bath with the child inside of it.
No, you idiot. If the bathwater is toxic, you take the child out and wash them somewhere else. Meaning you take your child out of the toxic failing schools and either put them in a better school or you homeschool them.
Kids, but on the whole, this system is failing children. And on that note, I love this.
Yeah, don't educate the kids.
Don't educate the kids? What a pathetic, disgusting, dishonest, straw man argument. Her argument is that they will get a better education when combining work and school. You can disagree with the argument, but you cannot change the argument to make it sound evil, which is what you have done here. To strawman her point and say she is advocating against education is despicable. This is the same thing the woke do with abortion. They call abortion health care, and then say Republicans are trying to take away women's health care. Well, no. Some are trying to take away just very specific things, not health care as a whole for women. It is therefore dishonest to say they are trying to take away health care. Same thing with saying science and religion conflict, when in reality it is only certain religious doctrines that conflict, not religion as a whole. This is a form of composition fallacy where you go from a part to a whole. Anyone who cares about truth should be more careful with his words. The fact that leftists keep using these insufferable talking points and slogans shows they are not serious about the truth.
Be reduced and more targeted in math, science, coding, English, taxes, and...
What they want to do is this. You guys know that conservatives love homeschool, right? They love homeschool because it isolates the kids, all right? And if in order to control a child, you must first isolate them. You must first convince them that there is nothing outside of their current circumstances. And their current circumstances are you and anything that you tell them to do. There's nothing that exists outside of you and anything that you tell that child to do. It's cult shit. Literal cult shit.
What is wrong with isolating kids away from the degeneracy of the world? It's a good thing, actually, to protect children's innocence and mind from woke extremists especially and other lunatics. Here we have a couple of memes perfectly demonstrating this principle. But if you homeschool your kids, they won't fit in with society, and the response is correct. That's the point. These are excellently designed memes. Good job to those who made them. Memes are an important tool for sharing ideas. Keep it up. Children are not capable of understanding and reasoning with the world. It is the job of parents to guide their children and not expose them to negative influences before they are ready for it. Parents should also preemptively debunk falsehoods before their children are exposed to them. They should explain why there are only two genders, why God is the best explanation for existence, and why riding a motorbike is stupid and dangerous for most people. Here is Ben Shapiro talking about this.
Much of it do you think should shape your political views, and how can we give kids, a well-rounded information so they feel like, okay, I feel really fed from both sides and now I can make a proper decision?
So how old are we talking here?
Like high school.
Okay, so the truth is that I don't think it's my job to present my kids with both sides. I think it's my job to present my kid with my side and then provide good counter arguments to the other side. I'm the parent, they're the kid. And so they'll get to a point where they'll make their own decisions because that's the natural way of life. You start not thinking like your parents, you start asking questions. That's fine. But I can only shape their values for a certain period in their life, and I'm not interested in shaping their values to be to basically treat social values in life as a smorgasbord of options. That's not my job. My job is to inculcate the values that I think are correct about the universe into my child. Now, that involves me answering difficult questions for my kids all the time, which is why I try to be an informed person who actually has good answers that satisfy me. And I try to give, I think, complex and adult answers to even my kids, even very young, right?
Do woke parents let Christian missionaries talk with their kids? Do they take their kids to mosque to hear the imams talk about the kuffar being the worst of creatures? Do woke parents provide their children with conservative books so that they can make informed decisions? That's not what I have seen at all. And not only do the woke isolate children from ideas they dislike, they also isolate adults. It is woke people more than any other group that protest on campus when conservative speakers show up. They are the ones who are least tolerant of alternative speakers even for adults. They are the cowards who are afraid people will hear different worldviews.
Business, all else is garbage. Out at noon if you have a job, and also high schools should have programs where they can help place students in jobs where they have high strengths. Absolutely. And there were so many people in the comments under this post saying, you can't learn all of that by 12 o'clock. Yes, you can. I was a homeschooler. I would start at 8 a.m.
See?
and I would be done by 12.
This is what homeschool does to a motherfucker. Do not homeschool your children. And if
How is this not promoting prejudice against homeschooled kids? He's essentially saying homeschooling makes you a horrible or stupid person, just like Brett supposedly is. Moreover, if we said anything like this, they always shriek, "Don't tell us what to do. Don't force your opinions on us. If you don't want to homeschool your kids, then don't do it. If you don't like abortion, don't get one. But stay out of our personal lives." We hear that over and over again. But they will never follow their own bogus advice because it is nonsense. You can have opinions about what other people do and don't do with their family and body, whether it directly affects you or not.
you do, I understand that some parents would rather do that because of all the dangerous shit going on in schools and because the school system frankly does suck. But if you do homeschool, please, for the love of God, do it correctly, okay? Let your kids go out and meet some friends. Let your kids join clubs and shit.
The implication when he says this is that homeschool parents are not already doing this. As if they need this loser's advice about socialization. As if parents who homeschool don't let their children socialize and join clubs already. What he is doing is promoting the nonsense stereotype that homeschooled kids are unsocialized. And of course, he provides no evidence, no data, no studies. He just spreads his bigotry against homeschool families. So let's look at actual studies which consistently show homeschooling does not have negative effects on socialization. Richard G. Medlin of Stetson University wrote, "Compared to children attending conventional schools, however, research suggests that they have higher quality friendships and better relationships with their parents and other adults. They are happy, optimistic, and satisfied with their lives. Their moral reasoning is at least as advanced as that of other children, and they may be more likely to act unselfishly. As adolescents, they have a strong sense of social responsibility and exhibit less emotional turmoil and problem behaviors than their peers. Those who go on to college are socially involved and open to new experiences. Adults who were homeschooled as children are civically engaged and functioning competently in every way measured so far." An alarmist view of homeschooling, therefore, is not supported by empirical research. It is suggested that future studies focus not on outcomes of socialization, but on the process itself. The next study has a large section on limitations, which you can go read but still writes. The results of our study are consistent with previous studies regarding social skills of homeschooled and public-schooled populations. According to Stuff 1992, it would appear that few homeschooled children are socially deprived, and that there may be sufficient evidence to indicate that some homeschooled children have a higher self-concept than conventionally schooled children. A second study by Smedley, 1992, found that home-educated children are more mature and socialized than those sent to school. Smedley's study is similar to this study in that both utilized a parental perception form to assess the social skills of children and found similar results. Now I will present one final study to finish my demolition of the nonsense this guy is spreading. At the same time, Nearly every study conducted to date finds that these children are not socially isolated. Or as Chatham Carpenter 1994 puts it, they are not at risk socially when riskness is assessed by the total number of social contacts. The average homeschool student interacts with a large number of people on a daily basis. He or she is part of both an extensive and diverse social network, although generally less extensive than the network maintained by the average public school child. Studies reveal that closeness of connections varies by school type, with public schoolers having more close contacts than homeschoolers. Also, not unexpectedly, homeschool students spend more time with siblings and adults than they do with public school peers. Consistent with what we reported above, homeschooling is likely to restructure the social world of the student, promoting more mixed-age than same-age engagements. The basis for peer connections also changes for homeschoolers, from proximity to common interests. At the same time, fewer peer contacts, i.e. 11 versus 20 for public school youngsters in the Chatham Carpenter 1994 study, do not translate into an insufficient number of peer connections. Indeed, studies routinely document robust peer linkages for homeschoolers. Although in short supply, the data that are available also suggest that homeschooled students are not isolated from cultural diversity. Homeschoolers on average are engaged with persons from diverse socioeconomic backgrounds, ages, religions, and ethnicities. So all that crap he was saying about isolation is in fact crap. One more point from the study, though much more can be said. The third dimension of our social development framework attends to how well homeschool children develop the social skills essential to the intercourse of life. As revealed above in the discussion of the socialization storyboard, recurring concern appears in the literature that because of their isolation, homeschooled children will be stifled socially and will not develop the skills they need to engage effectively with others. The empirical evidence available to date suggests that at a minimum this concern is likely overblown, and more likely is without foundation.
You know, like, do it properly by the books. Get an actual fucking tutor or teacher to help you. You know, if you're going to homeschool your kids, do it properly. I still recommend you send them to public school without as bad as it is, because that's still the most effective way to socially prepare your child for the world.
I agree. Do it correctly. Educate yourself. Read books on homeschooling and education. I guarantee you that any book on homeschooling you pick up will have a chapter on socialization. Because scumbags like this guy keep spreading the myth that homeschooled kids have no social life, it is addressed in virtually every book on the subject. And remember, no matter how bad you do, the woke are worse.
But if you're going to homeschool, just do it properly, unlike they did with this bitch, this soulless husk of a person.
Soulless? You're an atheist. You don't even believe in souls. But I get it. He probably didn't mean it literally. Still, that raises an interesting question. Why do we even have terms like soul? If you're an atheist, take a moment and think. Why does such a concept even exist across so many cultures? I'd argue we wouldn't be using language like this so instinctively unless it pointed to something real. Now, as for calling her the B word for no real reason, that's telling. This guy is a walking example of the kind of social skills your kids can expect to pick up in public school. And before you say, oh, not my kid, he's a good boy, he'd never... Fine, believe that. But don't say I didn't warn you. I went through both public and private school. I saw everything. The fights, the drugs, the parties, the pressure, the mess. If you want to know what the system produces, just look at him. He's not just being rude. He's a perfect advertisement for why parents are turning to homeschooling.
Just disgusting.
When you guys hear me talk about every
All I see is
insane
a pile of shit.
extracurricular I did and how I did gymnastics and dance and all this stuff and volunteered, that's because I finished school at 12
Oh, no wonder
o'clock
you're so
every day.
fucked
Because
up.
a
You
lot
never
of
had
the
a
things that
break.
kids do in school is pure
You
busy work.
never had a break to sit down and think about your own views of the world. You just got fed a bunch of bullshit, and so that's how you are now, as an amalgamation of other people's ideas and bullshit. And they stuck you in front of a fucking microphone in a studio that they pretend is a bedroom. Disgusting, grifting piece of shit.
Do you honestly think he would have called her a pile of shit if Brett were a black woman? Would he have been that harsh, that dismissive? I highly doubt it. That's the double standard baked into so much of modern wokeness. There's this bizarre obsession with tearing down anything associated with whiteness or the West, while showing extreme tolerance, even admiration, for ideologies that oppose it, including radical Islam. Then he claims she's just parroting other people's views, that she can't think for herself, that she's a grifter. Very charitable, isn't it? What deep evidence did he present for that? Oh, right. None. just accusations because she dared to suggest teenagers might benefit from getting a job and homeschooling. Apparently, expressing that opinion makes you a puppet. It's incredibly condescending. He strips her of agency, implying she's just a mouthpiece with no independent thought. That's not a critique. That's character assassination disguised as commentary. He does have one valid point, though. Going public too young, especially producing a large volume of content early on, is generally not a good idea. There's simply too much to learn. Unless you're exceptionally gifted, trying to speak authoritatively before the age of 25 is often premature. Most young people just haven't had the time to study the complexities of the issues they're talking about, especially when it comes to ethics, politics, or philosophy. Personally, there are times I spend weeks or even months researching for a single video. Over time, it gets faster. Not because the topics become simpler, but because you start to see recurring patterns and arguments you've already worked through in depth. But when you're just starting, research is a massive time investment, and that's how it should be. That's partly why I can tell when someone is bluffing. There are creators who simply watch a clip live and start giving their opinion on complex topics they've never read a single book about. That's not just lazy, it's intellectually irresponsible, and it contributes massively to the spread of misinformation. If you haven't done real research, meaning reading both sides, examining studies, watching long-form debates, you shouldn't be talking like an expert. This ties into bigger issues too, like child marriage or letting kids make life-altering medical decisions. A child hasn't read 5 books on parenting. They haven't studied long-term relationship dynamics. They aren't intellectually ready to commit to marriage, and they're certainly not ready to consent to irreversible medical procedures. But the same crowd that claims to care about informed consent suddenly goes quiet when it doesn't fit their narrative. It's not just about age, it's about readiness, and that requires education, maturity, and deep reflection, not just feelings. 2 more quick points I want to make. First, I've heard people criticize the fact that the studio was styled like a bedroom, as if that's somehow scandalous. But honestly, who cares? They're consenting adults. They can choose whatever vibe or aesthetic they want. If it helps set a relaxed tone or draw more viewers, that's their strategy. As long as the content isn't dishonest or immoral, the room setup is a non-issue. People always say, stay out of people's bedrooms. Well, maybe apply that consistently. Let people design their spaces however they like. There are exceptions to this, but it is overblown here. Second, the idea that someone is just repeating other people's ideas is also overblown. Most of the ideas you believe were shaped by others, your parents, your culture, the books you've read. There's nothing wrong with that. What matters is discernment, taking the good ideas and rejecting the bad ones. That's exactly why I read from a wide range of sources: Christian, Muslim, Jewish, secular, philosophical. I'm not looking for total agreement. I'm looking for truth wherever it appears. And I take what's useful and leave the rest. That's how real thinking works.
They don't need to be doing. And on the topic of job
A shit
programs, I don't
stain.
know if other states have this, but in Idaho, there are trade high schools where you do normal high school classes for the first 2 years, and then in the second 2 years, you are getting trained in a trade. So when you graduate, you have a certificate, and you can go start working. You can go
Nobody
start
cares
being an
anymore. Shut
apprentice
up.
and making money immediately.
I'm not
You don't
having
have to go
fun
to a trade
anymore.
school. You don't have to go to
Oh, you're not having fun anymore? How tragic. Aren't you the self-proclaimed social justice warrior, the one ready to fight for truth, justice, and the marginalized? Where's that fierce conviction now? What happened to resilience, to standing firm in the face of resistance? People look to you to speak the truth, to stand against lies, to be a light in the darkness, and your response is, I'm not enjoying this anymore. Where is your resolve to be a light unto the nations? So much for courage. You easily cave into your desires.
college. You don't have to even go to a community college. You can just start working. That is incredible. More schools should be doing that. More states should be implementing
How about
that.
no?
That is the direction we should be going. Get students what they need. Make sure they learn their math and how to write.
Get them what they need. Oh, let's start with food. Let's start with a house, right? Oh no! They don't need that stuff. They don't need that. They just need a spatula for the deep fryer, right? For the grill. They don't need like basic needs. They just need tools to work, right? Right, Brett? Right, Brett? Right, Brett?
Properly.
Give them a house? Let's think that through. Housing isn't conjured from thin air. It requires skilled labor, materials, and infrastructure. Someone has to build it. Someone has to pay for that work. In systems where housing is treated as a universal right, Taxpayers ultimately fund the cost, but taxpayers get their money from working, producing, contributing. If more people are told they can receive without giving, and fewer people feel incentivized to contribute, the system becomes unsustainable. Yes, a society should help those in need, but we cannot ignore the economic reality. If too many take and too few give, eventually there won't be enough to give at all. A free house is never truly free. If no one has to earn what they receive, you eventually run out of people willing to do the work that keeps the system alive.
And then send them out in the world to learn responsibility and gain real life experience. And if you are outside of the brick and mortar Department of
Like
Education
at school.
model, you can do this.
You know what real life experience is? Talking to people, being around people, socializing. Something that we as a society have forgotten thanks to our capitalist overlords.
Is that really the cause of declining social connection? Capitalist overlords? I don't buy it. There's nothing actually stopping you from socializing. One of the biggest reasons for the decline in community life is the decline of church attendance and other regular structured gatherings. Ironically, capitalism has created countless opportunities for social interaction. Clubs, community events, classes, and even apps designed to help people meet like-minded friends. Everything from gardening to archery to skating. If you want to find community, it's there. But it's about priorities. Personally, I don't go out much because I'm in a phase of focused study and creative work. Even one day out can cost me 10 hours of momentum. That's a serious trade-off for me. That said, I do acknowledge that many jobs today push people to the limit or beyond. Lack of work-life balance is a real issue, but the idea that capitalism by definition destroys human connection is a massive oversimplification. And if your proposed solution is communism, I have one question. Have you actually studied the history of communist regimes? Because the record on social well-being and freedom isn't exactly stellar.
Right now. It is possible, and I suggest
Hyper-isolationism,
that
it's
you do,
disgusting.
because young
Nobody
people
knows how
are
to be
struggling,
people
both
anymore.
Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
This guy claims no one knows how to be people anymore, and then in the same breath calls a 23-year-old woman a pile of shit because she expressed a completely reasonable opinion. Are you kidding me? If you want to lecture others on human decency, maybe start by not dehumanizing people for having views you don't like. Otherwise, you're just a hypocrite.
Alpha. They can't read. They can't write. They lack real-world experience. Many don't understand personal responsibility. They lack self-control. And you know where you can learn all of
Yeah,
these
good
things.
point, Susan. Children are ready to choose their lifelong profession at 16. Yeah, they can make lifelong decisions at the age of 16, huh? Oh, interesting. Oh, well then. Don't say anything about, gender affirmation or anything like that. No, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. No, that's evil. No, that's icky and yucky. Ew. But a career path, oh. Well, that's fine. You can pick what you choose to sell yourself to at 16. That's fine. Just no gender shit. No gender ideology. Because that's, I guess, dangerous.
In a job.
Amazing. He almost had it. He was so close to escaping the woke mind virus, but in the end, the ideology pulled him back. The devil got him. It's honestly sad to watch. The truth is simple. A career can be changed. You can switch paths at 25, 35, or even 50. But when you start cutting off body parts, there's no going back. Some decisions are irreversible, and we should be extremely cautious about pushing those onto teenagers who aren't even trusted to vote or drink alcohol. I actually agree with him on one thing. Most people can't choose their career at 16, and they don't need to. In most countries, students don't even finish high school until 18, and even then, many have no clear direction. Some take a gap year to travel or explore, usually if their parents can afford to support them. And you know what? I believe parents should support their kids beyond 18, not just financially, but philosophically, if their child is a serious student. Not necessarily in university, but if they're self-studying, 5 days a week, aiming to become a scholar or thought leader, then yes, invest in them. Buy them books. Give them time. Help them grow. That kind of investment could have a far greater impact than any degree they'll forget 5 years after graduation. We don't need more credentials. We need more thinkers.
Mind blown. Well, guys, I hope you liked
That was
it.
awful. Brett Cooper is a disgusting piece of shit. Holy crap. Like, I don't have anything else to add, guys. Seriously, it's blatant. It's blatant. Send the kids to the mines. The kids must work the mines. They yearn for the mines. That's all this is. It was so yikesy. I can't believe. Let me see some of these comments. I'm curious. Growing up, I wanted nothing more than to ride horses. Uh-oh, it's Fosh. Let's skip. My 14-year-old brother got a job at McDonald's, and he says that the majority of the employees are under the age of 18. There's nothing wrong with under 18s. It gives them the experience. Yeah, no. No, there is something wrong with it. It's called child labor, and that's a practice that we've done away with.
Child labor, as you put it, is not something we've done away with. Teenagers aged 16 to 18 can and do work legally in most countries. So what exactly are you talking about when you say it's a thing of the past? And here's what really makes no sense. You believe 16-year-olds are mature enough to undergo irreversible medical procedures, but not mature enough to get a part-time job? That kind of thinking is not just inconsistent, it's thoroughly deluded. And I find the idea of calling a 17-year-old a child, just like we call a 7-year-old a child, to be absurd.
My parents strongly discouraged me to get a job as a teen. They said homework was my job. True. And if I needed or wanted anything, my parents would buy it. Yeah. That's great. That's exactly how it should be. Sorry, you guys can't see the comment. Now you can. That's exactly how it should be. That's perfect. I want to see the replies. Oddly enough, yes. Your parents should have pushed you to get a job that could align with your proclivities or areas for improvement, like communicating with others. All good, though. Your parents did all they could. It's up to you now. I wanted to get a job, and they said no for a while. I'm an adult with a good job now. They get screwed every tax season. Yeah. I have met kids like that, and they're very socially awkward and have no workplace experience. No, I highly doubt that. You know what makes a kid socially awkward? When they're forced into the labor market at 14. That'll make them socially awkward. They become machines, okay? You are grooming. This is grooming. This is grooming. They're groomers. Guys, this is not even like, I'm not even like embellishing. This is just groomer shit. They're just grooming children to be little machines.
What is he even saying? That teenagers getting a job is somehow grooming? Is that really the point he's trying to make? Because as far as I know, the term grooming almost always refers to sexual exploitation. Typically, it involves manipulating minors to prepare them for sexual abuse. Calling someone a groomer is a serious accusation, not a vague insult you throw around because you don't like people encouraging teens to get jobs. The way this term is being twisted here is completely unhinged. It's absurd, dishonest, and frankly insulting to real victims of grooming.
They're the groomers. Remember, every what is it called? Every accusation is an admission of guilt. Okay? Every accusation is a confession.
Every accusation is a confession? Okay, so you just accused people of being groomers, so you are also a groomer by that logic.
They are groomers. Conservatives are groomers. If you are...
Conservatives are groomers? Did you just label tens of millions of people groomers? Are you serious? What a disgusting smear by a disgusting person. Conservatives are not the ones going to children's libraries and doing you-know-what. Conservatives are not the ones falling into the gender craze. Conservatives are not the ones who advocate sleeping around with as many people as you want. Conservatives are not the ones who advocate letting biological men into women's bathrooms, change rooms, and prisons. Conservatives are not the ones teaching insane gender and sexuality books to children. The chutzpah to call conservatives the groomers is wild.
A conservative or any person, a liberal, centrist, whatever, and you believe that children under the age of, let's put it at 16 and say children under the age of 16 should have to work. I'll even be nice to you. Okay? I still think that nobody should have to work. I'm fine with compromising at 18, but I'll even go lower. I'll say 16. If you think kids under the age of 16 have to work, then fuck you. You're a goddamn groomer. You're a disgusting piece of shit, and I hate you.
There is no place for hate, am I right? Tolerance. Tolerance. We are the most tolerant. Oh, and if you disagree with us, we hate you, smear you as a groomer, and maliciously insult you. We are the most tolerant group in the world. Conservatives are the hateful bigots. And all of this just because you believe teenagers should get jobs.
How about we don't abuse children by exploiting them? Too much to ask for a conservative.
Advocating teenagers getting jobs is not abuse or exploitation. You can say they shouldn't get jobs, but they are not being abused or exploited. By using these words in this context, you cheapen their seriousness.
Instead of enslaving little kids, let's enslave conservatives. Yeah, let's see how they like it. Let's take the CEOs and stick them behind deep fryers. See how they like it. The CEOs yearn for the mines, right?
Joking about enslaving conservatives? No microaggression there, right? Not bigoted at all. Can you imagine the reaction if someone joked about enslaving black people? Would he call that out? Who knows? But the double standard is glaring. And as for CEOs, many of them started in entry-level or startup roles and worked their way up. More importantly, why would anyone take on the pressure, responsibility, and constant risk of being a CEO if they weren't compensated significantly more than the average employee? If you want the reward, you have to carry the weight. That's how incentives work.
I was into the labor market by 14, but I was familiar with work by 14. Biggest mistake my dad made. Yeah, I just like, when I get older and I have kids, I want my kids to be able to just live their lives. Okay? I forgot to monetize this shit. There's absolutely zero reason that anybody should want their kids in the labor market. Certainly not under the age of 18. But at all, really. If I can help it, my kids will never work a day in their lives. Not for anybody who fucking, not unless it's of their own accord.
I don't pray much, but I pray this guy never has kids. But Allah knows best. And if you care about your society, you should want people to work. That's the only way society succeeds. The only way we have anything, including all the stuff this loser has, is because people worked to produce it. That doesn't mean we shouldn't try to advocate for better work-life balance, but work is still necessary for society to function.
Let me monetize this real quick. Please work. Please work. Please work. Please. Fuck! It always gives me limited monetization. I hate this shit. Sucks ass.
Wow. Just look at that emotional composure. Not a single anger issue in sight. I'm sure he learned all that top-tier impulse control from his public school, where emotional regulation is practically their specialty. Truly a model of self-restraint. Also, gotta love the outrage over monetization. I thought capitalism was evil? Suddenly it's, where's my ad revenue, you greedy capitalist pig? Such heartwarming gratitude to the YouTube platform. Really inspiring. And by the way, this is exactly how people talk in modern schools. I was there. I'm under 30. Don't try to tell me otherwise. I've seen the system, and this is what it produces. To conclude, this guy is the best advertisement for homeschooling I've seen in a while. When someone with such vulgar, arrogant, and immoral behavior is urging you to send your kids to public school, maybe, just maybe, you should consider doing the exact opposite. Look, this principle isn't absolute, but it's a useful red flag. When immoral people are loudly pushing something, it's often a sign you should pause and reconsider. Because when you hand your children over to the school system, you don't know who they'll befriend, what they'll absorb, or what kind of subtle influences will shape them, day after day, year after year. Even if you read the curriculum, you won't see it all. The ideological drift, the peer pressure, the moral confusion, much of it happens outside the pages. And I assure you, the majority of those unspoken influences aren't positive. Most schools today don't teach ethics, logic, or wisdom, and that alone should tell you something. You're placing your child in an institution that leaves their moral and intellectual development entirely unguarded. Now, if you still choose to send your kids to public school, then your job becomes even harder. You must put in serious effort outside school hours to educate them on character, ethics, religion, critical thinking, and moral courage, because the schools won't. And if you don't teach them, no one will. Protection isn't just physical or financial. Money can't shield your child from rotten ideologies. That takes wisdom, attention, and daily effort. Your child is counting on you to get this right. Don't leave it to chance. Educate them, personally, consistently, and intentionally. Their future depends on it. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, and become a channel member. Thank you.